What's up guys, TechTine here, and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this video, as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching this one. You guys have been amazing lately, so keep it up, keep the support coming so that I can roll out more content like this for you guys. So with that being said, in today's video we're going to be actually reviewing the iPhone 13's camera, and this is coming from somebody who reviews basically mostly budget smartphones. And I gotta say, this camera here is one of Apple's most special cameras for one reason, and that is customizability. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Okay, but basically let's talk about specs for now, and I'll explain what I just said in a little bit. So this camera here, you do have a two dual camera setup. So the iPhone 13 has two cameras, the Pros have three, the Pro Maxes also have three, but we're gonna stick to the iPhone 13 for now. So dual camera setup, and they're stacked diagonally because they do have the sensor shift technology, which what that really essentially means is that a much better stabilization and a much better overall image during night photography, and if you shoot a lot of video, you're gonna see a big difference in stabilization. So they are still 12 megapixel sensors. One of the things that I also want to talk about as far as the hardware itself is that the camera here protrudes also quite a bit. So when you set the phone on the side or you want to set it on a flat surface, it's gonna rock back and forth. The only way around it actually is if you have a case on it. So on the front on the front of the phone, you do also have the smaller notch, which houses your pretty much same megapixel count as iPhone 12's, but a much newer sensor. So take that information and do with it as you will. Now, what really makes this camera special is in here, which is the camera app itself. So it's typical iPhone camera app. If you had an iPhone before, then you're familiar with it. So pretty much snap and shoot, and you have the option to switch between your standard lens as well as your wide angle. And you have a couple of new options here. So you have your video mode, which is we're used to, and you also have the cinematic mode, which to me is still a gimmick, and slow motion, and your, of course, standard photo mode, your portrait mode, as well as your panoramic mode. Where things get a little bit different is this, and when I said it's more customizable this year than every other year, I really meant it. So in the past, here's how Apple worked. So they do have a closed mindset. So what they think is great is what you need to think is great, and that's that. With what they did here is actually different. So what really makes this iPhone camera personal is what Apple calls photographic styles. So basically this is where you really get to choose which style really fits you best. So you have the option between vibrant, vivid, rich contrast, warm or cool, and you can actually control the warmth and tone of the mode that you pick. So it's not really a filter. It actually intelligently uses the processor with the software to create the picture that you like. And that's really what makes this year's iPhone more personal. Once you set it up to the way that you like, it actually automatically saves it for you. Now, if you don't like it, if you want to go the standard route, what Apple thinks that it is great, then you can do that. You can disable it. It's not a big deal. But now let's actually talk about image quality. So starting with the first picture here, the picture on the iPhone 13s are slightly more vibrant. They do provide a slightly better color than the iPhone 12s. They're bright, they're vivid, they're what you would expect from an iPhone, right? It's a world-class camera, and this is what it brings to the table. So the way that we're going to be doing this is we're going to talk about daylight photography, dynamic range, and start getting into low light, and then I'll show you guys a sample video and a sample video in low light. Okay, so the way that I did it is I picked vibrant mode because I really think that it just provides a much better picture that really pops more, right? So the pinks look slightly more pink, and it still retains the same great iPhone photography. And in this next picture, also similar story. So it is more vibrant. It does provide a much better color. Right now, it's not the most accurate color, but it makes the color pop, and that's just the way that I like my pictures. As far as dynamic range goes, it's actually really excellent. So the sky retains its blue, and you do have the trees do retain its shadows. They are perfectly green. They're exposed perfectly, and like I said, I mean, world-class camera. Is just this is just what Apple does. And next picture also is a test of color and text itself. So the picture is perfectly sharp and it's perfectly in focus. So in this next picture, we're kind of moving away from natural light and coming into artificial light. which is, I mean, not the most ideal conditions to shoot in, right? But again, still provides an amazing picture. So the shadows are there, the exposure is there, and I just want to showcase how indoor photography will look like on an iPhone. So still a fantastic photo overall. And this is really a test of the wide angle, and the wide angle actually improved quite a bit from last year's. However, if you actually focus on the light bulbs, they are slightly overexposed, but it still is a really good picture. And now moving on to slightly lower light dynamic range. So this picture here actually looks freaking good, and I love to take pictures of sunsets, and this is really showcasing it. And yeah, I mean, the shadows are darker, but that's to be expected because of the low light that's happening. But yeah, I mean, overall, the hue and the color shift from this blue to this semi-red color is actually really good. You can see the buildings do have slightly more noise. And here we are moving on to really low light, right? So this here shows that the difference in dynamic range between standard daylight and kind of lower light is where you would see kind of a difference. So, okay, it's not horrible. It's not the greatest either, right? It's all right. It's all right. It does a good job overall. Now we're moving to really low light. So it's pitch dark outside, and this is supposedly a picture of the same flowers that I took off. So this is a picture of flowers that I took on earlier, and this is basically no flash, no night mode. So you really cannot see anything in this picture. So this next up is actually the same picture, but this time with just the flash, no night mode. And what you see is that it's bright, right? You can see the flowers now just because it used the artificial light that the camera has. However, the picture that I'm about to show you next is much better and looks just much more natural. So this next picture here is using night mode photography. So it does look better than just using the flash, and that's just my opinion. And here is the wide angle lens, and that's where you'll really see the wide angle suffer. So in the next two clips, I'm going to show you guys what the video capability on the iPhone 13 is, and I'll let you judge it for yourself, and I'll give you guys a final word. So the first one is with just standard daylight. The other one is low light. Okay, so as you can see, the video capability on this phone is freaking fantastic. It's first place, and second place isn't even close in the smartphone world. So overall, this is definitely a special camera. It's one of the most special cameras that Apple has made, just because of the customizability of what you can personally do with it. And you can really make a picture your own if you think about it. So yeah, that's my take on the iPhone 13's camera. Tell me what you guys think of it. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. Make sure you like this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.